All right. Greetings. This is Brother P, the artist formerly known as Philly Phil. This T is for the truth. I'm going to tell the truth, nothing but the truth. This here video is going to be on a dream I had about a sister who was in a sorority called Delta Sigma Theta. Now, how I come to have this dream? Well, or reveal this dream in public, because it wasn't a public dream. So there was a site called Stop Hazing that it was on a site by a guy who was against people hazing. It was predominantly white schools, but it was some black schools on the message board, and they called, the Stop Hazing message board. So it became so popular with the fraternity people. The owner of the site, did not want it on the Stop Hazing board because the people who were in there were talking about everything, not just hazing. So he created, or had them create, another message board called Mount on Olympus, something like that. So this went off the board to a message board, and man, I guess it was a whole bunch of what you call Christians in there, but it was everything in there. You understand what I'm saying? So every type of believer, every type of non-believer that there is, and most of them had something in common of being in some type of Black Greek letter organization or Masonic, Eastern Star, Daughter Isis. You was in something, you was in there, or just somebody who just was familiar with the culture. Me, Fred Hatchett, Minister Gail Gray, Rob, 5 or 6 of us were representing ministers who had come out of Greek letter organizations, had denounced our oath and whatnot. So one day there was a young lady who was a Delta on the site, and you could start your own little sections in there. So she started a section, because they started a whole section for us, and they called it the religion section, as if we supposed to stay right in there. But I was wherever. You understand what I'm saying? In the religion section, in the sports section, into this section, into that section, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Wherever I thought was an appropriate place for me to comment, just like everybody else, I was going in. You know what I mean? So, entertainment section, all that. So politics, it was pretty tight. You know what I'm saying? This was before Facebook took off. You know what I'm saying? MySpace was, I think, still popping, and Facebook hadn't really come out yet. So now, this young lady makes up a section about dreams, and then she writes about why she started this section or this post or whatever. And she said that she had went to a revival, and there was a young lady who was preaching there named Lisa James, prophetess Lisa James. And I'm like, And the prophetess spoke into her life, and she listened to her, what she had to say. So she came back to the site and was like, I met this person. If anybody has any dreams, you know what I'm saying, this is where you can send it. And she was asking people to share their dreams or whatever. So I'm listening to it like, I had a dream. You know what I'm saying? Like Martin Luther King, I had a dream. I dream all the time. But some of this stuff be on point. So I had a dream, and this was the place where I was going to share it at. Nobody never heard this dream before. You know what I'm saying? So I wrote it out, and I put it up there. So she read it, and, and now I'm going to tell you what the dream was. The dream was I was at T.D. Jakes' church. And while I was at T.D. Jakes' church, Bishop T.D. Jakes, he called me up front, and he took my hand and he stretched my fingers, and then he threw my hand And then he told the whole crowd to bless me. Now, I'm not, what I'm saying, in the church circles or anything like that. So I was, at the time, I'm like, well, really, And I might have been at College Park Baptist Church as a youth pastor at that time. But after he did that, I was standing off to the side, and his whole church lined up to walk past me and put money in front of me. Not on the ground, but like in a basket. So people were doing that, and then 3 or 4 predominantly, like 3 or 4 white people walked past, but they didn't come put no money in my basket. And I could overhear them talking. And they was looking at Bishop T.D. Jakes. They was calling him a pimp. And I could overhear him like, man, why they calling him that? And they just kept walking as though they didn't even see me. And then a young lady came up and she walks up to me. She's taking out her checkbook or her money. And when I looked at her, she had on nice like clothes. But as she got closer, her gear transformed into Delta paraphernalia from the head to the toe. So when her paraphernalia transformed, I looked at her and I was like, she about to give me some money, but I got to tell her something. So I was like, hold up. I got to tell you something. She instantly said, no. And she didn't know who I was. But she said, no, don't tell me. So I said, nah, I got to tell you. So, and she was happy. When I spoke to her about what Delta Sigma Theta and my testimony of coming out of Omega Psi Phi due to the conflict with the faith, with the oath and the hazing and the different things, however I communicated with her, her countenance dropped. She became distraught. And it was like she was a little down. But she continued walking and she continued to write that check out and gave it to me. And walked on and I woke up. After I wrote this dream down, she read it. The young lady came back at me on the site on Olympus and she stated, she said, why don't you send that to Prophetess Lisa James? Now, on my end, I knew she was challenging me because she didn't believe it. She thought I was just writing something just to get at the Deltas on the site. And so she knew I was a preacher. So the young lady was like, well, send it to that prophetess if you think that's from God. But she wasn't being sarcastic or obnoxious about it. She was just telling me, send it to her. And I instantly hit back. All right. So I got the contact information of her website because she had all that up there. And I think you can still check her out, Prophetess Lisa James. And I sent her the dream because she accepts dreams to interpret them. And she had several on the site that she had interpreted on her site. So I sent her the dream, and a couple weeks go by. So at that time, I was in communication with a brother named Fred Hatchett, who was the guy who started Don'tGoGreek.com. Or back in the days, it was called The Globes Have Been Exposed. And he is a former Prince Hall Freemason and a former member of Omega Psi Phi. And we was talking. So, we was on the phone together. So I was like, I said, I haven't received, because people from the site was asking me. They was like, you got that? Now, this is 2 weeks later. You get that interpretation back? Like, you ain't sending nothing. You understand what I'm saying? Like, wait, interpretation. You're not letting us hear it. Like that. And I don't got it. You know what I'm saying? I sent it. I don't have it. So I'm talking to Brother Fred, and I'm like, you know what? This young lady not sent it. I said, Fred, what if this girl is a member of Delta? What if she in Delta Sigma Theta? So Fred was like, she might be. So I said, you know what? Her phone number is on the site. I'm going to call her. So I get on the phone. I call her. She's on the road coming back, going back home. She's like in the Midwest or something. She's coming back home from a revival where she was preaching, and we on the phone together. And I tell her who I am. She said, "Oh, how you doing, brother?" I was like, "Yeah." I said, "I sent you a dream to be interpreted." So she says, "Oh, you didn't receive the interpretation?" I was like, "Nah, I didn't receive nothing." She said, "Well, it probably went to your junk mail." She says, "I'm going to send you it right now." And when she said, "And this time when I send it to you, I'm giving you my phone number. Call me back and tell me that you received it." So I was like, "Oh, snap." I was like, "Okay." And then, I said, "Hold up, before I get you off the phone, let me ask you a question. Are you a Delta?" She said, "I used to be." I was like, "What?" I said, "When did you pledge?" She said, "Spring 92. And I was like, whoa. Because when did Brother P cross the burning sands? Spring 92. So I go back. Now I'm reading the interpretation. My dream is like a paragraph, like 2 paragraphs long. Her interpretation is long. I read the interpretation to the dream, and so I take it and I agree with it. I take it and I put it up on the site. When I put that interpretation on the site, it was crickets. You know what anybody gonna say? It was unbelievable. I didn't just put the interpretation on the site. I also put who she was. You know what I'm saying? And how we both pledged the same year. The same semester, spring 92. So anyway, it was just weird, but that's just how things work out sometimes. And I talked to her one time since then, Prophetess Lisa James, and that was it. And then what I did was I wrote that and I put it on Facebook or whatnot. But a lot of times, that's why a lot of people, they sometimes want to deal with Brother P about this, but they don't, because they know I'm not coming with you going to hell or you worshiping the devil. I'm revealing what God showed me. You understand what I'm saying? From the spiritual side. So on your end, you got to figure out, am I with Yahweh or am I with Satan? That's the only thing you got to figure out. And if you figure out that this father, husband, preacher of the good news is with Yahweh, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, then you got to deal with some things. So that's what that is. So that's that dream I had of Delta. All right. Shalom.